So hello and welcome everyone to today's webinar session that is going to be about a really interesting and useful topic, that is how to improve your translation process with memoQ and FlowFit. My name is Helga Szabó. I am part of the digital marketing team here at memoQ, and I'm going to be the host of today's webinar. But before we would jump right into the presentation process, let me share a few housekeeping rules with you regarding the webinar. So the presentation itself is going to be approximately around 45 minutes long. That is going to be followed by a 10 to 15 minutes long Q&A session. Please, should you have any questions, post them in the Zoom's Q&A pane. Do not use the chat to do so. You can see a screenshot of the Q&A pane in this slide down below. Also, due to the limited time frame, it can happen that we will not be able to answer all the questions asked in a live, but don't worry, because we will provide answers later to the missed ones in a written form on a Q&A sheet, and we are going to send that sheet to you through email. Also, this webinar is going to be recorded or is already being recorded, and the recording is going to be available both on our website and on our YouTube channel, and we will also provide a link to the recording through email approximately 1 week after the webinar. So now let's see who are presenters today. First, we have Laila Fnayo, Sales and Marketing Specialist at Consoltec, with expertise in business development and a keen understanding of the translation industry. She plays a key role in positioning FlowFit as a leading translation business management system. Joining her is Benoit, Technical Solutions Specialist at memoQ, with a background in translation and 15 years of experience in the localization industry. Benoit now helps clients optimize their workflows and tackle both technical and non-technical challenges in memoQ. Also, it's important to note that he is accustomed to using both memoQ and FlowFit. And together they will share their insights on how one can improve their translation process by using both memoQ and FlowFit. So let's dive right in. Laila, the floor is yours.
So, hi everyone. As Helga mentioned, I'm Laila, Sales and Marketing Specialist at Consoltec, and I'm really happy to be here today with Benoit to talk about FlowFit and memoQ, how they together work to improve your translation management processes. So I will start. For those of you who might not be familiar with Consoltec, I will start by a quick introduction. So we are a Canadian-based company established in 2002, and over the years, we've grown to become a leading provider of translation business management solutions. So our flagship software, FlowFit, is trusted by over 150 clients and more than 5,000 users across different industries worldwide. So Benoit, I'll pass it over to you to introduce memoQ before we dive in.
Thank you, Laila. Nice to meet everyone. So memoQ is a collaborative translation environment that is used for delivering premium translation. It's been established in 2004. It's headquartered in Budapest in Hungary, but I have colleagues all around the world. I'm based in Montreal in Canada, but we have the team is comprised of people of all around the world, and we speak over 20 languages as a whole. Thank you. I'll pass you the mic again, Laila.
Thank you, Benoit. So as you can see, FlowFit takes care of the project management side, while memoQ handles everything related to translation. So together, they've been widely adopted in various industries, especially highly regulated ones like finance, where security, compliance, and efficiency are key concerns. So today we'll take a closer look at why financial institutions in particular face unique challenges when it comes to translation. So in highly regulated industries, companies deal with strict compliance requirements, the need to protect sensitive information, and the challenge of maintaining accuracy and also consistency across multiple documents. So these aren't just operational challenges, they have serious legal and financial implications. So today we'll be focusing on the financial sector, but everything we discuss applies just as much to other highly regulated industries and LSPs. So we'll explore how FlowFit and memoQ working together, they solve these challenges head on. So at Consoltec and memoQ, our goal is to provide innovative solutions that simplify translation management, ensure compliance, and maintain the highest security standards, of course, without adding extra complexity. So let's see why FlowFit and memoQ are the perfect pair for you. So our integrated solution allows you to automate compliance workflows. So with FlowFit, you can customize risk levels, approval steps, maintain a full audit trail to ensure compliance at all times. There's also security and confidentiality that you can rely on. So we're dealing with sensitive information, and security isn't optional in this case. So it's essential, and we are seeing this more and more with our joint clients with memoQ. That's why our systems, both our systems offer role-based access, encryption, and compliance with top security standards like ISO, GDPR, and SOC 2. So your data stays protected every step of the way. We have a seamless connection between FlowFit and memoQ. So nobody likes wasting time on repetitive tasks, on creating projects, on the project management application, and on the translation application. So we have a real-time synchronization between FlowFit and memoQ. Everything stays synchronized automatically, so you don't need to put extra efforts on this. And we will walk you through exactly how this works in our live demo. And finally, cutting costs without compromising quality. So efficiency isn't just about speed, it's about savings also, and companies using our integrated solution have cut translation costs by over 35% per word while still maintaining top-notch quality, which is amazing. So now let's switch gears. I'll leave this this slide for the end, and I will switch to FlowFit. So we'll start the live demo. We'll walk you through a fully automated translation process using a high-risk financial project where we will translate a financial report from English to French to make things easy. Of course, real-world projects can be more complex, but for today, we're keeping it straightforward to show you how the process works. So here's the client portal of FlowFit, which is used by requesters to submit any language-related projects or requests. So the intake form, just to make sure, are you seeing the portal that I'm sharing? Can you confirm?
Yes, later.
Okay, perfect. I was not sure. Okay, so here I'm showing you the intake form in this portal, which is fully customizable, which will allow you to gather the information you find relevant from each of your requesters. So this intake form can be adapted to different clients and request types. So I will quickly fill it out. So I will put a request title. Here I will set a deadline. And here I will set up the risk level to high. I will require compliance approval, and I will select my document type, and I will upload documents. So this document here. And let's wait a second till it uploads. And here we go. So once I submit the form, FlowFit automatically sets up the project in the project management portal. As a requester, I can track all my submitted projects in the client portal, but I won't spend too much time on that today. Just know that this portal helps you keep everything centralized, cutting down on back and forth emails between requesters and the linguistic team. So requesters can have access to all the projects they create through this portal, their quotes, invoices, their documents. One thing I would like to mention here that with the synchronization we have with memoQ, you can allow your requesters to submit new versions of documents with the real-time synchronization with memoQ. You can allow them to submit new documents as well. They will be able at the end to download the deliverables from their client portal, and they will be able to communicate with different project stakeholders using the notes feature as well. And the same thing applies for reference documents here. So I will quickly move to the project management portal. So this is the main hub where everything happens. So from workflow management to assignments, resource allocation, finances, reporting. So it gives you a full visibility into your operations. So looking at our project list, so here we can see the project that I just submitted. So it's the last one. I will open my project. So we can see here key project details, including the memoQ project. So we can already see that a memoQ project was automatically created using this specific template. Here we can have access to project information. We can see details about the request, the project manager. We can see that the project manager was automatically assigned here. And here we have access to information on dates and deadline. So here we can see that the memoQ analysis is completed. So I will just refresh the page. So when I open the Documents tab, I will have access to the document that I submitted. So that's the report in English. And here we can have access to the memoQ analysis results, so that are retrieved automatically, that can be accessed in FlowFit. And when I open the Tasks tab, I can see that a project was automatically created as well. So here, sorry, not a project, a workflow with these specific tasks. We can see that Benoit is assigned to the translation task. I'm assigned to a sign-off task. So I've added a sign-off task here because it's a crucial step that we've seen in workflows within highly regulated environments, but you can include any other tasks in your workflows. So this task ensures that translation meets strict quality compliance. So I'll be doing the final review after Benoit delivers the translation. So since FlowFit and memoQ are also bidirectionally integrated, all assignments are updated and synchronized between both tools. So when Benoit will open memoQ, you will see the same assignments here, and you will be able to make changes in FlowFit and memoQ, and changes are reflected in both tools in real time. So before handing it over to Benoit, I want to quickly show you the automation component in FlowFit that allowed us to create the project in memoQ, to create the workflow, to assign resources. So here I will open the FlowFit virtual coordinator. So the virtual coordinator of FlowFit allows us to set up some business rules. So here I will open the automation that was active in our case today. So this tool, as I mentioned, allows us to automate actions based on some predefined business rules. So here we have the trigger, which is the project creation. We can put filters such as source language, target language. Here we based our automation on the risk level that we set up when we created the project, on the document type, on the work type, but you can add as many filters as you want to have the combination you want to automate your actions. Here, the automated actions were the creation of the workflow, the creation of the memoQ project automatically, and the assignment of a project management. And you can have different memoQ templates for each project type or document. So you have a lot of flexibility to automate repetitive tasks using this component. So I will go back to my project. I will start my project and hand it over to Benoit. So Benoit, to you, you can present memoQ and show us how it works.
Yeah, thank you, Leila. I'll just refresh my page on this side. Okay, thank you, Leila, for this presentation. Now let's switch to, I would say, the part of the integration from the memoQ user perspective. Like Leila, I'll show my screen share my screen very soon. Like Leila said, the project was created in memoQ automatically using memoQ project template. For those that might be unfamiliar with project template in memoQ, it's really a way to create project using the same setting all the time, making sure that you remove manual operation, can also automate several tasks using the template. And what FlowFit will do is let the memoQ project template use its full power. It's not FlowFit that will say how to pre-translate in memoQ. It will just use the template and say, do your thing. So my screen now. So here I'm acting as a linguist. So I'm in the FlowFit provider portal on this side. So I have my task assigned, which was the one that Leila assigned to me automatically previously. So to start working, so in the task, I could see all the instruction that is required, the deadline, etc. But if I want to start working in memoQ, I have one single thing to do, is clicking the memoQ button here. It will be, for those that are used to memoQ, it's pretty much like saying check out from server, but you can do it from memoQ directly. So, it works fine. What it's happening right now, it's in the background. I'm not opening the right one. Sorry for that. What's happening in the background is memoQ will check out the project from the server, and it will open directly the document translate in the translation grid. I'll just give it a few seconds. Before I dig, I'll recall some of the challenges you might face in the financial industry. So outside all the security requirement, etc., you're faced with the fact that you have to translate a lot of structured text where terminology is very important. There might be also as well a lot of, I don't know, numbers to translate, date to translate, etc. Repetitive text, tight deadlines. So in regulatory documents, you'll have a very tight deadline. Sorry, because with the screen sharing, it's not working as fast as it should. And it's very high visibility text, and you'll need to make sure quality is perfect. So memoQ will cope with those challenges that are typical to financial industry or to other regulated industries. So it's a sample of a financial report we have to translate. So the first resources, the memoQ helps with several kinds of resources to help you cope with that kind of documents. And as I've said before, here what I did with the memoQ template is the translator have a full project to start with. How it was done. So using the memoQ project template, what I did is several pre-translation phase with several different resources. You don't have to work that way. It's just that it's a possibility that you could have a fully pre-translated document directly in the translation grid instead of starting from scratch. So the first resource I want to talk about is translation memory. So a lot of you are probably pretty familiar with what translation memories are, but for those that are not, very quickly, it's a database where you store your translation, and that will you'll be able to recall previous translation. So I was talking about repetitive text in the same report year over year. So the translation memory will help you leverage previous translation you've done in the past. So this time it was pre-translated. You can also see the match here over here. And there are several metadata that you can find. Let's say the project it came from, the last time it was used, where the translation memory it comes from. Regarding translation memory, it's the recycling happens with what we call matches. I want to talk about 3 different kinds of matches. First, the exact matches. Exact matches are the 100% here. There's also 101% matches, but I won't get into that detail now. So what that means is that segment was translated in the past, and it was so memoQ will suggest that previous translation, so you can reuse it. It's good practice to validate that the translation is still valid, but you don't have to look into previously translated document to look for that given translation. The second kind of match I want to talk about is near exact match. So near exact match will stand between 95 and 99%. What does that mean, near exact match? That means that it's the exact same source text, except for minor detail. What I mean by minor detail, numbers, formatting, punctuation change, etc. So in this instance, what you can see that now the sentence I have to translate is for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2024. So you can see it, this text to translate. What is in there is the previous translation. So the only difference was the year. What memoQ did is adapt automatically the year in the suggested translation, but it added a 1% penalty to make sure that you double check if it was adapted correctly. The third kind of match I want to talk about is fuzzy matches, like this one at 90%. So in this case, there are more significant differences. It's not only details like formatting change, tag change, punctuation change. Here in this instance, I'm coming back to this part where here the source text to translate is here. Here is what was previously stored in the translation memory, and there's that track change here. That means what's the difference with the text to translate today. So what I could do, obviously, is just add, sorry for that, the missing text and review the previous translation to see if it's still valid. Final thing that might be useful with translation memory is kind of a search engine as well. You could, let's say you translate that sentence from scratch. I could select the term here, look into what we call concordance, and see how it was pre-translated. It was translated in the past. So in this case, there was only one instance, but you could really use it like kind of a search engine of how it was used in the past. Okay, close it. So translation memory first. Second kind of resource I want to talk about is auto-translation rule. Auto-translation rule is a way to set in memoQ rules to translate, I would say, text that correspond to patterns. The most two obvious example of patterns I'll show you is, let's say, date and dollar amount. So in memoQ, there's a very flexible engine to create auto-translation rule using regular expression. So it's very flexible, but in this instance, I want to show 2 specific examples. The first one is dollar amount. So here, oops. Here, so here I got dollar amounts. You'll see over here. So let's say 1,250,000. So I use an auto translation rule to pre-translate all those numbers automatically. Then again, I use my project template for that. I added a pre-translation step saying to memoQ for all translation units, for all segment where there's only a number or something that corresponds to my auto translation rule, please insert automatically the translation according to that rule and lock those segments. While locking those segments, might not want linguists to change what was pre-translated with auto translation rule, could as well remove that from the workflow. So you don't have to do that, but it's flexible enough to do that. The other example I wanted to show you is here. It's in this example. So this sentence was pre-translated using a translation memory, but I also created a rule to localize date. So it's a very tedious task, translating date. So in this instance, from English to French, you need to move the number before the month, you need to translate the month, etc. So I created the auto-translation rule that is able to localize date from English to French. You can see the result here. And like I said, it was pre-translated this time, but if I remove it from the translation, let's say I was translating from scratch, I could double click it in the translation pane in the upper right corner, or I could just start to type it directly, and memoQ will suggest me the translation. The fourth kind of resources that might be very useful, we talk about terminology. So memoQ will allow you to attach term-based terminology to your project. And if it's set up properly, memoQ, well, generally the default setting will do, it will recognize the term from the term base that you're using. So in this case, fiscal year, in French is exercice. So it will suggest me the right term. Here as well, it recognizes financial position, which should be situation financière. You'll see in my previous translation, it was translated as position financière, but I'll get to the QA part later about that. A less known feature regarding terminology. Let's hope it works well. So there's a preview of your translation as you translate. Oops. So is the ability in memoQ to pre-translate using terminology. So let's say you have tables where every item is very strict terminology you need to respect for regulatory document. So let's say in this example, gross revenue, net income. They will say, let's say, well, I guess. So net income, gross revenue, there will be earning per share, etc., etc. So instead of pre-translating with your translation memory, there's the possibility to pre-translate using your term base. Why you would want to do that? It might be because depending how you manage your translation memory, people might overwrite what was approved terminology. So there's a way, let's say, to pre-translate segment that only includes your approved terminology using memoQ. So, and again, I'm repeating myself, but that's quite important. Using the project template, I made a specific pre-translation step saying to memoQ, please pre-translate all segments that comes from my terminology database and use it before using a translation memory. Final thing, live docs. So live docs, I won't get into too much detail. It's a feature in memoQ where it's kind of a corpora where you can upload several things. Let's say you could upload previous translation, let's say from English to French of a given Word document, and memoQ will align it on the fly. You can use it and leverage the previous translation pretty much as if it was a translation memory. Could also upload monolingual document in there. So you could have a concordance search. What I did before the TM, you could look into a document to understand, let's say, a word in context. But add reference document as well that can be attached to the memoQ project. Let's say style guide in PDF. And your linguist could be open the PDF, the style guide directly from the memoQ environment. What I wanted to show you here, so hope it goes well because it's very laggy on my side, is the fact that the use case of boilerplate documents. So I know in the financial industry, in the legal industry, there's a lot of boilerplate text that you need to reuse over and over and over. There would be several ways to pre-translate those boilerplate. Sure, a TM would do. The other way it could be done is through a live docs. So what I'm talking about boilerplate, let's say a disclaimer, or I don't know, terms and conditions that you add over and over and over in several different documents, and there's an improved translation for that. You could use live docs in such a way to prevent editing of this boilerplate document. So what I did here is, let's say you translate the initial, you translate the disclaimer in a regular memoQ project. Then you export it in what we call a bilingual document. So everything is in there. And import that bilingual document to your live docs. And here, what I did is in my project template, having a specific pre-translate text from the live doc saying to memoQ, please pre-translate my boilerplate text and please lock it so nobody does any modification to it. Finally, very quickly, if you want to use machine translation as well, you can see in the grid some segments where the text is in orange. So this was pre-translated, and you'll see also the result in the translation pane, result pane in the upper right corner. So these were machine translated, so memoQ will allow you to connect to several machine translation engine. In this instance, I'm using Globalese, which is the product offered by memoQ, but you can use a project template to say, okay, so I pre-translated with terminology, with my term base, with my live docs. I pre-translated using my auto translation rule. Then, if there's any other translation to do, please use my machine translation engine. You don't have to do that, but it's a possibility as well. Finally, QA. So memoQ offers QA feature, quality assurance feature that can be very useful to check, let's say, details that might not be catched on the first time by the linguist. So, for example, there's two ways QA will work. So let's say I changed, it was to 2023 here. Okay, environment segment. So there's the QA on the fly. This instance. So I validated my segment, and there was a QA warning that appeared. So if I double click this warning, we'll see there's an extra number in that segment because I was expecting, memoQ was expecting to see 2024, and I use 2023. So the QA will allow you to spot through those errors. The other way to do it is through the review and using the quality assurance to do a full QA of the whole document. So I'll use the. And what memoQ will do after analyzing the document is use a separate tab, a completely separate tab, listing all the potential QA error. Obviously, there could be false positive in there. And the beauty of it is that when you go to each of these potential error, you can edit the document directly from that QA tab. I would say instead of going back to the document and fixing it. There's also a way to ignore in batch. You could also, let's say, because that's segment by segment, you could sort as well to say, okay, I'm going to tackle every non-breaking space missing QA warning, etc. So I'm hoping it's going to work. When I'm finished, so I'm going to go back to the integration with FlowFit. I'm going to cheat a little here. I'm going to confirm everything. So the step that would need to be done is to deliver the translation. Let me check. Okay. I'm going to confirm everything and hope for the best. So at that step, right after we're hoping it's working, so I'll use the deliver function in memoQ, which normally triggers going to the second step. But what FlowFit will allow is exporting directly if it works well. Sorry for that lagging. When I deliver, it will export the document and push it directly into the next step in FlowFit. So it's not going to be long, Leila. Oh, yeah, I can see
Yes,
it.
we can.
Perfect. So as Benoit mentioned, so there's an option that allows to deliver directly from memoQ. So it completes the FlowFit tasks and puts the next task as ready and attaches the document to the next task. So since the translation was completed in memoQ, I now have my sign-off task ready. Just to move this. Perfect. So I will open the provider portal that Benoit presented and show you how I will receive my sign-off task and how can I work on it. So of course, I received a notification saying that I have a task that is ready, and notification emails are sent at each step of the way from project submission to delivery. So everyone involved in the project stays informed of the changes within the project. So here I have my provider portal that allows basically external vendors to receive their tasks, work on their tasks, manage their availability, finances, so they can receive their POs on the provider portal and send their invoices. So in our case today, I will just open the provider portal to complete my sign-off task, which is ready for me, so I can see it here in the list. I will open my task. I have access to the work document that was sent by Benoit, so I can have a preview. This is the French version of the document I received for sign-off. I can have, here you can share as a project manager or admin, you can decide and control what information you want to share with your vendors. So here I can see a couple of information about my project. And I checked the document and I will validate my document. So I will just say, yes, I approve, and to deliver the document and show you how it's delivered to the client, you have the option to disapprove, and this should keep the task at the sign-off level and should notify different project stakeholders of the status of the project. So once the sign-off is done, I will go back to my project. I just need to quickly refresh, and you can see that FlowFit delivered automatically the document, and it's delivered to the client. They can download it directly from the client portal seamlessly. So yeah, that's basically it. Here I could keep talking about this integration, but I see that we still have only 5 minutes. So let me stop here and open the floor for your questions. Please feel free to reach out to me or Benoit if you'd like to schedule a personalized demo and explore more FlowFit and memoQ features. And yeah.
Thank you so much for both of you for this really informative presentation. And so far, we have 3 questions. And while I will jump into reading up the first one, I would like to encourage everyone who has some questions to just ask it away. So the first question is, for translation update, the rule you mentioned is using regex, same for currency. It's for Benoit, I think.
Okay. Yes, but the regex, I would say, auto translation rule are based on regex, but memoQ added some twists where you can add what we call translation pairs. So to make it more easier, because I could have several regex to translate every of the month, but memoQ will allow you to have what we call translation pair and simplify the regex you're using to translate those things. Regarding the dollar amounts, it was straightforward regex.
Thank you. The next question is, what happens if the vendor who is auto-assigned, I believe Benoit was auto-assigned, is not available and a new vendor needs to be reassigned? Is this a two-way sync integration? If I reassign the vendor in memoQ, would it show up in FlowFit?
Yes, so this question is for me. So for today's project, we created a fully automatic workflow based on the high-risk documents, but there are different ways of assigning resources in FlowFit. So it can be automatic, like we did today. It can be manual. You can check the assignment calendar and see who's available to work on the task before assigning a resource, or you can also propose the task to different vendors. And in case the assignment was done automatically, we still can change it manually if the person is not available. And we can change it in both FlowFit and memoQ. and it will be synchronized. So yes, in case you want to change the assignment in memoQ, you will be able to see it in FlowFit, and it will be reflected in both tools.
So what are the benefits of the tool for a translation department of a company that works with freelance translators?
I can start. So you mentioned that works with freelance translators, right? So the benefits is that you'll have an integrated solution. You will have your information centralized at the same place. You will avoid spending time on resource management and repetitive tasks. So you'll be able to have all the information about your resources on the same platform. You will have your resources workload. With the integration we have with memoQ, the workload of your resources will be recomputed automatically, reflecting the real-time workload that they still have in their day. So yeah, and this is based on the progress rate of the work done in memoQ. So for example, if you have an estimated time for a task of 2 hours and your vendor did 50% of the work, you'll be able to see it in FlowFit, and the workload will be recomputed. And this makes it easier for project managers to manage their projects, their vendors, their freelancers. You can also we have a whole module for resource management where you can manage pricing for your resources, price lists, rates. So there's the whole financial part that is also relevant for freelancers that we can cover during a demo if you want. I hope that answers your questions. Maybe Benoit can add something.
I may add as well. The integration will allow as well. It depends also if you let your freelancer work directly on your server. So what I've shown is I connected directly on FlowFit server. But let's say you want to work offline with packages. The integration will allow to send packages through FlowFit and return the return packages through FlowFit as well. So there could be another way for a translation department to work with freelancers. And memoQ also, if you'd like them to work in your environment, will allow you to lend license to your freelancer as well. So I hope that answered the question.
Thank you. Next question. How do you handle questions and answers between the linguist and the PM and between the PM and the client?
I think there's 2 different ways in FlowFit and memoQ to handle this. In FlowFit, we have the notes feature, which is used as a communication channel. So you can add notes and reply to notes and have conversations, and you can manage visibility of the note. So you can decide whether to communicate with external vendors or clients. So that's how it's managed in FlowFit, and I'll let Benoit answer for memoQ.
Yeah, memoQ, depends on how you use memoQ. There will be several ways to handle communication. So there's a chat in memoQ directly. There's also on the web version, you can start discussion. Let's say for terminology or for regarding. So the web version, there's also a forum where you can handle some questions specific to the translation. Yeah, I think that does it. Good idea. How you can communicate in memoQ as well.
Thank you. The next question is, does this work with Quickbooks Online?
That's the question for FlowFit, and actually we started development for the integration with Quickbooks, so it is coming, but now we have other development priorities, but it's still on our roadmap to finish this integration. So follow us and you'll be notified, and we will publish the news when it's going to be ready, but it is on our roadmap, yes. But currently we don't have the integration.
Thank you. Next question. Do you handle customer and vendor repetitions and matches discounts separately?
Could you repeat the question, because I don't see it?
Yeah, Do you handle customer and vendor repetitions and matches discounts separately?
Yes, so in FlowFit you can have different price lists that can be based on the memoQ analysis results or segments that you define in FlowFit, and you can have rates for vendors that are different from client rates, of course.
I may add something as well, Leila. You can have different weighting grids for client and for provider as well. So using the same memoQ analysis, you can apply, let's say, weighting grid for your client that will be used for invoicing, and a different one for your vendor. And you can specify different weighting grid by vendor as well.
Benoit is used to use memoQ and FlowFit, so that's why he has answers on FlowFit, which is good.
Thank you. Next question. So how does version control work when client adds new versions to the project? Are documents for each step in the process kept in the workflow?
Yes, so when a client uploads a new version of a document, so we keep all the versions on the document tab of the project. So we'll be able to access all versions of document, and the documents will be transferred to memoQ using the X translate. Correct me, Benoit, if I'm saying something wrong, but yes, you will be able to see the versions at the workflow level in FlowFit.
Thank you. And next question, are you using AI?
That memoQ will use AI through mainly currently using the product. I wouldn't say it's not typical machine translation, but with memoQ, AGT, and Globalies, so you can use AI as well. And there are several other features on the roadmap, but I cannot talk about those until they're out. So yeah.
Thank you. And this was the last question. So I would like to thank to our presenters one more time for this webinar. It was really insightful and really useful. Thank you. And thank you for all those who have joined us. See you in the next webinar and have a nice morning, day, or evening, wherever you are in the globe. See you. Bye-bye.